Hey, it's me, Big P. I wanted to do a quick video, kind of wrapping up the Caustic Arrow Death's Oath Magic Finder that I've rolled this first week of the league. Could not be happier with how it's all turned out, and I just want to do a video kind of just doing a final overview of the build. I will be doing a video probably in the coming week or so as a more general primer on magic finding as a whole, just because there's kind of an interest in it now. It's in a bit of a weird spot, but you know, there's definitely something to be had, especially if you're running cemeteries, which you might notice people are watching or wanting a lot of, you know, usual suspects like cemetery, Crimson Temple. I think Waste Pool is another one in there, and really just whatever layout you like. I'm going to run this tier 16. We've been doing okay, you know, we can run it consistently, and we haven't moved into the juice strategy now, but I basically just kind of wanted to show up the bow that I finally actually crafted. I don't usually actually invest in, I like to not invest and just be like, yeah, if I could invest it'd be even better, but at this point it's okay. But right here it's pretty good, so we'll go over it now. Ooh, look at that weird graphic bug. Do that again, do that move again, dude. See, what the hell is that? That's supposed to be like ground slam or something. So yeah, I did swap to Herald of Ash and went EB just to help with clear, especially in the breaches. I've been running breach, trying to force it to make money for me, and it's had mixed results. I just kind of like them. You know, they're just running straight into the breach itself is just really satisfying. And yeah, once you the rogue exiles are actually weirdly going to be kind of the hardest part of this map in some ways, just because they have like different, I think they like, I don't know, they just don't die as quick as everything else. And a lot of our clear is now kind of chaining off the burning damage of whatchamacallit, that Herald of Ash does. Oh, we should be running through the boss, generally speaking. We can do Burning Ground. I did swap to Aberrath, just because ignites are annoying and Burning Ground is even more annoying. Particularly when you're running Exarch, a lot of the altars, you can pretty much just ignore any altar that's like, oh, Burning Ground. You actually want to take it as an upside because the upgraded Pantheon of Aberrath makes it so that Burning Ground gives you move speed. Yeehaw. There's a map. Map sustain's been okay now. I think I have like 100 something tier 16 maps. Ooh, Possessed Boss. This is going to be a little tricky, maybe. You can only really take a hit or two, maybe not even that from the Possessed Boss here, but yeah, you'll see. And I do want to, you know, take a look at that tier 16 map boss damage. That's with, okay, Awakened Gem, to be fair. It's still a less damage support, as well as Mirage Archer. Once I got a bow that's like pretty close to as good as you can get a Caustic Arrow bow, I did swap from stuff like Swift Affliction and Void Manipulation, which are the usual damage links here that I would need, because I can kind of have a lot of it. I don't have a level 4 Empower yet, and I've been leveling a couple Empowers and stuff like that. But yeah, just for coverage, I will say in some maps, Arrow Nova is like kind of, it feels weird. The coverage sometimes feels great, but then, like, you know, it can like hit a lot of walls and indoor maps. It might be better to stick with something like Void Manip or Swift Affliction there. But you know, you just have it on a gem swap and stuff like that. Any chaos damage we're not really scared of, even though they're not really chaos res capped. You only have 41%. But yeah, we'll see. And yeah, you can just kind of do this sitting here. I've made a dozen divine-ish, if not more, with just a basic strat. I'll go over the Atlas strategy that I'm doing right now. I didn't really try anything new. I kind of went for, well, I guess technically Breach is quote-unquote new. I feel like this is like the 5th time they've re-released Breach League, and I've been like, yeah, Breach League's really good. Go try the breaches. Harbinger, I'm on the fence about. Every time I feel like I want to take Harbinger off my map device, or off my Atlas skill tree, it drops me another couple fracturing orbs. And yeah, that's, we can do it all the way full, but it's a little worrisome. I'd like to have this Deathless, I say right before I die. See, that's how you, I knew that was going to happen too. I absolutely called it. And, well, did we actually do it? Yeah, okay, let's see what we got here. Totems, explode on kill. Okay, we just throw that in a dump tab and hope. I don't know, I haven't been having much luck with Crucible besides like one of the first bows I've crafted here. my actual bow having faster proj, and then just kind of alleviating the dex requirements of the Mariketh bow is pretty nice. Could be better, but the bow, I mean, the investment that I've put into this is nearing the ceiling. The only things that can get really better are things like timeless jewels, and if I can get enough levels, then another cluster jewel. Did I really change anything on the tree besides, I mean, I did go EB, and then I just kind of went out of some like life for like a bit of more jewel slots. Anything really interesting here? I'm trying out the fire song. Did this go up in price? Not really. I mean, I know what's his face Subtracted made a video on it, and I was like, oh yeah, I better scoop those up before those get really expensive. I think I can drop these 2 points here for more damage if I'm needing it, but I don't really need it. Once the Empower level 4 comes along, even with the clear setup of Arrow Nova and Mirage Archer, let's close these portals. They're loud and annoying. Or you know what, let's just go upstairs here for now so we can get a different so I can kind of go over, see the Arrow Nova, like, so if you know how to play it and place it, you can kind of like, you're kind of running around and kiting stuff anyway, but it's not super fast, and it often, it's supposed to leave a pool when it hits, but if it very rarely goes where you're aiming it, because you have to actually hit a monster here for a pool to end up there. Every click just sends pools in the area there, so it's a little bit strange. So Arrow Nova is probably not for everybody, but for magic finding and just like blasting through maps, it's pretty great. If you really want to, I mean, I do have the gem swap here. You could just do that instead, and then you'd have a much more consistent. You could probably keep Mirage Archer on once you're getting the bow or the gem up to like level 24, 25, 26, because the damage is pretty good there. So beyond that, we'll take a look and see. Death Oath hasn't changed. I probably should run lab to get a Caustic Arrow enchant. I don't know. I don't really want to do that. I don't really need a Caustic Arrow enchant. Obviously, it's something you can invest in and improve upon, but I'm not going to do that. So just the bow I wanted to go over. I'll link Ali's video in the description, which I used to craft this masterpiece. Basically, you just alt it, and you have to multi-mod it a couple times after that. But it's very, like, you can make this bow. It's strange to go in PoE Ninja and like sort by Caustic Arrow DPS and like see like a version of your bow, or even a worse version of your bow slightly, because I did get tier 2 chaos dot for the hunters exalt that I slammed on there, and a perfect dot multi that I alt crafted into, and then you just craft it, you multi-mod it, and you're good to go. I guess I will, just for, consistency's sake, go over everything. Verity's Veil is just a fantastic option that works very nicely with Ascetic and Rings. Some hot tech here is if you have, like, if you roll a map with a scary curse on it, you can swap from this to this, and then you'll just be hexproof in the map. But generally speaking, no extra damage from crits is better, and then you always have damage of enemies hitting you as unlucky, which is very nice. It kind of helps you stay alive. It's probably saved my ass more than I know, and I have died almost 600 times on this one, so it's, yeah, getting a little tricky. Still don't know if the Pierce is optimal in here. I'm going to look a bit. Some people say it's bugged. I think maybe that's just the way it works. Maybe if I was just using it more standard here, maybe it just doesn't work with Arrow Nova in the same way. I don't know. Please, if you know how Caustic Arrow works with Pierce and Arrow Nova, and if it's still bugged, please let me know in the comments. And then the rest of the gear is just Sadima's Goldworm and Bisco's Leash. I did go for Herald of Ash because I was kind of missing like the off-screen-ish properties of... Oh, I really wish we had a breach in that. I guess we'll just have to come to the stream and see when we're juicing breaches with the pack size and stuff like that, see what's going on there. Yeah, Herald of Ash is kind of cool. I have the green Herald of Ash, which like fits in the chaos damage lore or whatever. And yeah, let's go over the gem links real quick as well. Or I'll just mouse over my flasks real quick. These are just like kind of, pick and choose what you like. I had pretty much just move speed effect where I can get it just so I can move as fast as I can, and then reduced effective chill. I have 100% reduced effective chill when this is up because I have Brine King, and then freeze duration doesn't matter because Brine King makes you freeze a moon. But yeah, reduced effective shock. I used to have 100% between 2 flasks on reduced effective shock, but I stopped caring about it because I prefer move speed. Better to just be moving through a map and just dodge a thing that would kill you if you're shocked. And reduced effect is okay. There's the rarity flask too, which so it has like weird charges. Whereas the topaz flask, increased charge recovery, it only uses 20 of 50 charges. I really should use reused at the end of flask effect on this, just so it's going more consistently, because that flask is res capping me. My resistances are terrible. I pop the flasks and they're fine. You know, as a mapping character, I'm okay with that, but you know, maybe there's not a lot of space. Maybe you wouldn't use aesthetic and then would actually get a better, well, there's a lot of res on the helmet that I'm actually using. You might probably craft a quiver, better ring or two, you know, better venters. Like my venters is hurting my cold and lightning res and giving me more fire res when we don't need more fire res. We get a decent bit from Goldworm, but what are you gonna do? You know, it's the build functions for what it's set up to do, which is generate a bunch of this, just a bunch of shit, a bunch of maps, a bunch of tier 16, another Searing Exarch progress. Let's go over what I've been kind of doing. Well, let's go over the tree first real quick, although it's pretty standard. I probably should shave these off and maybe even this entire wheel off, although I do like dot multi if you've killed recently, especially for a mapping build. You could probably take all this away and just put it into a mana, the cluster jewel setup there. Because cluster jewels can get really good stuff. I still don't have, I didn't invest in like an 8 passive chaos one that I could fully roll. These are just decent. I did roll the mediums okay. Brute for potency and exposure therapy are nice, and they also have student of decay, give me a little bit more chaos res. Maybe that's how we'd get chaos res capped. You could also go here into tolerance if you know, chaos res cap is really important for you, which it might be if you go for that timeless jewel that splits LE damage. This is the spot where you'd put it. The, what is it, divine shield? No, that's divine shield. Divine flesh is the one that a lot of people are using on more traditional builds, but again, this is a cast on death portal build. I don't really give a shit. I really should probably drop these two and this life node just for a little bit more damage, just to help me clear that map a little faster. I went over Transcendent Mind last time. That's fine. That's whatever. Jewels, I mean, I'll upload a POB of what it is right now, and it is on PoE Ninja. Not because it's a high level. I really should probably invest in some of those 5 ways that have been going on to get this up to at least 95, if not beyond. But, you know, a couple levels here and there. The build is really put together. I mean, once the bow came together, I really do recommend, if you're going to run any sort of CA build, run a bow like this. If not just because it's going to improve your Death Soth by a lot. Like the tooltip that I was getting for Death Soth went from when life tap is on, it's almost 50k. Which is more than enough to deal with like the mobs in tier 16 maps. But before I invested in the bow and I only had like +2 socketed bow gems, you know, it was terrible. It was like 10, maybe 15k, maybe up to 20k with life tap up. And you'll notice that in maps. Like in maps, it'll be tricky. You'll run into a pack and the pack won't explode. And then those 3 or 4 normal or God forbid magic monsters, if they make contact with you, you're going to die. And, you know, I have bricked many a map with this build, but I've also made, you know, more maps than I can run. I'm going to start selling my cemeteries and whatever else comes up. I'm assuming cemetery is going to be, I've already found a brother's gift myself. And, you know, Caustic is really for, I've done some duo play with a friend or two here and there, and I've kind of like just asked around on globals to see if I can like actually run it with like 2, 3, 4-man life. And it's been okay. Mixed results here and there, especially because you know, they're wasting my portals and stuff that I need to use because I have less than 3k life. So, you know, please don't use my portals. But either way, I mean, you could again swap for more damage. Now that I've swapped into like full clear setup because my bow is so good, it's just like, you know, it's night and day. Just clears beautifully, can rush through all the content, except bossing. I'm going to set up a bosser as my next character. I wanted to go over the Atlas skill tree real quick, just because so people can see what a bad tree is. I'm just going into breach, forcing breach, blocking everything but heist, delirium, and breach. Just kind of focus it. I am dipping a bit into the delirium over here. I thought we'd be able to reach over here to get paranoid fixation and what's the other one, pathological, because those are just really nice to have. But tree's a little stretched. Could use this Eldritch Gateway to go into Wrath of the Cosmos, which I probably should be doing, but I don't know. Tree's a little tight right now. And like I was saying before, every time I think about taking Harbinger off, it's just like, it's not that many points, and it can be that much, as well as decent of the other, like, bits of the other currency. I'm still using Harbinger orbs to turn shitty tier 16 layouts into coves and stuff like that. But I don't know, it's just, it's your preference. I mean, like, that's really what makes the Atlas skill tree so strong at this point, and is what is really keeping the end game together, is that you do whatever you want, do whatever you like. Like, Breach is like in a quote-unquote bad spot right now. Like, have my Breach stones gone down in price? They've been holding at around 20, and they're going up in price by a couple chaos here and there. And, you know, I don't even have a Chiula Splinter, the Chiula Breach stone yet, but those are the real money makers there. So, you know, it's consistent. Well, I don't know. It really depends, again, what you want to do. Quantity magic finding specifically, I'm going to go more over this in the second video I do, as like a full overview of magic find, is kind of strange that it doesn't work very well with some league mechanics, specifically, and most obviously ones like Blight and I guess Ritual. Metamorph, it's not fantastic for. Decent for Harvest, but Expedition, I mean, anything where like the loot is either from one single thing, not a lot of mobs, or the worst is when it's from a chest, because if you open up a chest and your loot's from there, it's not counted from there. That's why I did end up not going for Legion, even though Legion is probably honestly better overall. It's just a little bit rippier and kind of backtracky for my taste, although Breach is backtracky too, kind of. Again, you know, don't let any YouTuber tell you, you know, I don't care how much money they're making per hour. It's more fun to do what you want to do with the modern Atlas, and just, I mean, I'm still in a like trying to generate scarabs to get into a growing horde strat. So again, this is just a bit of a respec out. You respec out of this, and you, again, I've also tried some shadow shaping strats to generate some tier 15s. But once I got all my favorite map slots, you can probably go into singular focus. But you don't want to run that if you're running these here, the Remnants of the Past and the Conquered Conquerors, because apparently those are supposed to like be blocked. Like, those extra maps that can drop from the boss are blocked when you have singular focus on, although I have had them drop here and there. Who knows? The way loot drops, honestly, is kind of a mystery in this game sometimes. Like, I have you know, the strong boxes I have almost fully laid out. I'm only running it for div cards because I am running whatchamacallit, Cemetery for Brother's Gift, which is 5 div. If you don't know what that card is, pretty good card to run for. That's big kind of spiky profit there, whereas stuff like the Elder, Shaper Guardians, and the Conqueror maps, that's more consistent. Although I might drop these because these are only selling for about like 15 chaos, whereas these are like 30 and up, like 30 minimum. I have them listed for like 40 right now. Again, this is just first week stuff. Time will tell if it goes down. I do want to go into Enduring Influence, of course, once I start actually sextanting and juicing stuff. Of course, that will be part of a growing horde setup, but for right now, all can go. I mean, I can kind of recommend just the base of all of the shaping stuff here. You can maybe drop 1 or 2 wheels for a couple extra points, and Stream of Consciousness, block what you hate, and invest in what you like. Atlas has a great point right now where you can just kind of farm, you know, depending on what build you're running, you know, you might have to take a bit more of that into account, because, you know, not every build's going to do everything. This build is incredible at clearing maps, but is terrible at bossing, but it can kill a tier 16 map boss. You know, basically the whole theory behind the build was bringing it up to a point where it can clear the highest tier of map safely, as well as the league mechanic to a certain degree. Obviously, no build is like 100% clearing the league mechanic every time, except like really strong actual builds from actual YouTubers. So, you know, don't take my advice. But yeah, either way, I'm going to have a POB in the description. Let me know what you think. And if you've been running Magic Find, what your second build of the league is going to be. Because as we go into the second week here, I'm really wanting more than 3k health on a character. Want to be able to do some bosses, maybe try some Ubers, get my final couple of Maven invitations done. I just bought into Rhodas or some boss kills on TFT for all these tricky ones, like Feared. I obviously didn't do on this build or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I have the previous videos on this channel go over you know, the actual league start where I was Bane, and that was fun. But we are a clean mapper now, and I just want to do an update here again, just to show off my bow. It's like, oh, I never craft items, but this item is so good. And it's like, it's such like a double dip, like it makes my death so that much stronger. And then, you know, damage over time multiplier also works. I don't know how it works for Herald of Ash with burning damage. I didn't go over the gems, but they're pretty much all the same. Like some I'm not even using, like I have a clarity here. Obviously I'm not using that anymore. Because I'm EB, which is okay with like the flat ES you get from all this stuff, but you know, you might have to tinker with that depending on your gear. Although I think generally speaking, EB, you know, you're just in a spot of the tree where it's good to have, and you're not really going to be able to get it from leech in the same way that most attack builds are, because Caustic Arrow isn't like hitting with your attack most times. But anyway, video's a little too rambly. We went over 20 minutes and I didn't want to do that, so yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.